Bob Cobb of the Bassmasters, and this is LD and the MC.
Well, as the amazing Mr. Bob Cobb just told you, you have arrived at LD
and the MC. Look at us, we're together. I mean,
look at the last time this happened, insanity occurred.
Yeah.
A podcast was started.
Yeah, last time I sat here, we started a podcast, and last time we talked to our viewers, I was almost shut down.
You were under house arrest.
We decided there is no time for this. We can't let anything get in the way of our silly little podcast.
Will not happen.
Here I am in Tennessee. That, and we have a Bassmaster event this week, one or the other.
It was a matter of convenience, really. Let's just be honest, Dave.
I don't know how.
14 hours of convenience, though.
Yeah.
A drive. The MC shows up last night, exhausted, but we had a good time. He got to meet Marty D. My dad came over for a little conversation. Marty is something else. He's a character in the traveling circus for sure.
I can see where you came from.
Yeah. You got me in your sights now.
Yeah, I've learned a lot about your area. I did not know that this was the birthplace of Davy Crockett.
That's right. That's why when all the Texans were so upset at me, Dave, all the Mom's Basement Texans, like Davy Crockett, remember the Alamo? David Crockett, like I'm basically Davy Crockett, except I helped expose a really, underrated fishery that's now overrated.
So you're comparing yourself to
for sure
somebody that they named parks after.
Yes, I feel like before my time here is done, I'll have a park named after me for some reason.
You may be the one putting the sign up, but I'm sure it will happen.
I've got some acreage here. We can do that here. We can have a park. Here. I tell you something that popped up that
Which
I
show
feel
is
like
this
is number 21. So 21 weeks ago, you were here. That's a crazy thing. That's the last time that I saw my buddy, the MC. It was 21 weeks ago, right here in the LBL Bar and Grill. We're back again.
Prime time.
It says prime time.
You know why I said prime time?
Why? Oh, of course.
The greatest 21 ever, I believe.
I have a Neon Deion story.
There's a lot of 21s, though. Like, 21's a popular number, but I think Deion Sanders is my...
On my 10th birthday, I went to an Atlanta Braves game. Neon Deion was the deal, prime time. Everybody had their signs. Ran into him after the game, asked for an autograph. His comment back, I only sign checks to 10-year-old Luke Duncan. Deion, if you're listening, get at me. You weren't the man. He loves to fish now.
Him. He loves to fish.
He loves to fish. 10-year-old me. But this was in the height of that, like, playing two sports like he was it, right? But, only sign checks.
Yeah, but there's a small part of me that kind of thinks, like...
I kind of dig it, honestly.
If he had written on your little piece of whatever snot-dribbled paper that you had in your hand...
It's my 10th birthday day.
Hey, Mr. Sanders, could you please sign this? That actually sounds like me and Tommy talking all the time. But Deion, I feel like him saying that to you gave you a better... if he had just signed that piece of paper, you wouldn't be like, on my 10th birthday, he signed this piece of paper.
Yeah, I wouldn't be holding on to shit 27 years later.
Yeah. I feel the same way about Pete Rose. He total dick when I met him.
Really?
Oh, yeah, totally. He was... he's the only celebrity. At my house, I've got a bunch of different signed things from him. Most of them have been given to me gifts from people and stuff like that. But he's one of the only guys that I've ever seen him and been like, I'll pay for that dude's. It's Pete Rose, right?
Yeah.
So we're in Vegas and he's there at wherever he does his signings. Legends of
Caesar, Caesar's Palace, yeah.
So, dude, he is sitting there, and I actually set it up the day before when we were there, and there was a sign. Pete Rose is going to be here tomorrow, and I'm like, well, I'm here. Pete Rose is here, and he actually signed. Ironically, he signed. And I will prove this to you on our next episode. He signed one of those bobbleheads. I have a Pete Rose bobblehead.
Ah, that's killer.
And he signed it. But, dude, if I could have given it back to him, I would have. Because I'd pre-bought it and everything. So you go up to meet Mr. Rose, and, dude, he is sitting at a table like this, and there is a TV right there. And it's got a game on, a college football game. And it's a Saturday, and he is literally like this. Hey, good to meet you, kid. And I'm standing here at the TV set, and I'm like, Mr. Rose, I'm a big fan. Oh, thank you very much. What did you want signed? Like, you did not look off over the TV. Did his whole thing, and literally, part of the whole interaction was you're supposed to let go, do your picture together. So I'm just going through the movements, and I go to do my picture, and that was the only time, like, he kind of turned towards the direction that I was standing, and I laughed at him, and I went to the owner of the business because they're really cool business.
It's cool. I've been there. Yeah, I actually saw Pete Rose there signing one time when I was in Vegas, but did not pay to do it. But I know the setup. Like
I like that business, but I don't like. Pete Rose is not the most. I mean, maybe he had a lot of money on the game. I don't know.
I was there one week when Mike Tyson was supposed to be there on a Saturday, and I've regretted not going ever since. To meet Mike. It's always like, because that dude, he's just a larger than life dude in every aspect of his life. But that was one that I was in Vegas working, and Tyson was scheduled to be there on like Saturday at the same place, and I didn't go, and I really do regret that.
Yeah.
Because I got to feel like that interaction would be pretty cool, right? I mean, those guys get jaded. They meet a lot of people. You and I are fortunate to have people come up, but we have a lot fewer people, so we remember most of them, right? Like, I mean, but it's cool to have these guys have millions of those interactions in a lifetime. But I've always heard that about Pete.
I would just think, like, dude, to have someone come up and ask for is a cool honor,
Yeah.
But to be sitting at a table and knowing all these people paid, I feel like honestly, when people come to see one of my stupid seminars somewhere, I'm trying to give away as much crap as possible, because every time I'm like, nobody's going to show up, and then when they do, you're like,
you're pumped.
Yeah, this is cool. Pete Rose, a great baseball player, a great baseball player.
Really, some would say really good with numbers.
Very good. Very good.
Well, I think we could
still
put
betting,
Pete,
if you're wondering.
For sure. That's all I took out of that story was, well, who was he betting on?
I don't know, but it was he was nervous, it seemed.
Well, somebody else that was nervous, Dave. Perfect segue. Our mom's basement moment.
Okay.
Our mom's basement moment of the week. NBM. We got from Redneck Righteous. Dave.
Yeah.
And you are in the world of Redneck Righteous right here. You are in the epicenter of it in Southern Tennessee. Redneck Righteous commented, Luke, can we get Dave to put a hat on? His forehead blinds me through my TV. Ha ha. Hashtag NBM. So, two things with that comment. First of all,
you're welcome.
Thank you, and you're welcome at the same time. But he was going for the mom's basement moment. So I feel like if you hashtag NBM, I've got to put it on the show.
Well, don't say that.
Redneck Righteous.
There's going to be all sorts of people putting stupid stuff. I mean,
comment hashtag NBM. It'll make its way.
I'm sorry that I blinded you. You've appalled me with your unoriginality. Really. I mean, what's the next thing? Fat jokes? Like, really? I mean, number one, the whole reason
Woody the Woodpecker jokes
is because people were complaining because we're on Zoom and they just see our. And I'm like, well, I won't wear a hat. I mean, I will embrace it and. So be it. So whatever. Wear a hat, don't wear a hat. I mean, I hope we made you happy.
Last week, I went full-on boy band hair, as you call it. And you never acknowledged it. And it really...
That's how weird last week was.
Driving to the NPFL tournament, I was like, kind of sad. I was like, Dave never acknowledged I went full hair. Because I don't do that a lot.
I don't know how it got past me because, dude, honestly, every time before we shoot these, he'll come on and, like I've said it a few times, he shows up looking like a boy band and right before we go live turns into a redneck. And I can't believe that I didn't hit you on it, but I mean, if I was going to miss, last week was the week because it was a weird
It's
one.
rare that your buddy is under house arrest and then the cops show up to make sure he is still on house arrest, as you do your podcast that we work very hard to be able to schedule because we're both very busy. And in that one moment that we hit the red button, Dave here.
How bizarre. But I'll tell you, before we leave the hair thing, here's my take on it. Thank God for Michael Jordan. That's all I got to say. It's Michael Jordan started it, I believe. Maybe there were some others. But if you think about it, like in the 1950s, a dude like me, I mean, I started to lose my hair in probably, my mid to late 20s. I guess that's when I got like the first little
sign it was going.
My early, I don't know what it was, but I'm going to tell you there were several years where I should have shaved my head and I didn't. You know what I mean? I needed a friend. Like, people need a friend to tell them, like, you can see people, and every day you go to the mall. You used to be able to go to the mall, and you see people, and you're like,
yeah,
that dude needs a friend. Because if you had a friend, You would have told him that
bad.
looks horrible.
Yeah.
I tried to mess it and do a bunch of things.
That's where I'm at.
Whatever.
Oh,
Your
buddy,
hair's
I'm getting no.
spectacular.
I got the spot. I got the spot starting for sure. And I have to. That's why I had the mullet, the long hair. I'm just gonna let the world know how conceited I really am. Had the long hair, was digging.
Sorry.
Take a man in your house.
He just.
Let him drink the alcohol he brought with your ice cubes. I'm a terrible host. But, dude, the long hair exposed the beginning of the bald spot that much worse because the heavier the hair pulls it down. So I had to get a haircut, man. And I had not had a haircut in over a year. And I was like, yeah, Billy Ray Cyrus in around here, like loving the mullet. I had to get rid of it, man. You know why? Triple Threat, Marissa D, said something about it.
She was a friend.
But she's a friend. She will definitely go, hey, maybe not a good idea. So I don't know what the next phase of my life is. My dad is Buzz. You met Marty. He lost his hair at like 19. I'm 37. I'm lucky, right? I'm hanging on. But dad buzzes it. It's always been a close buzz my whole life. Like he's never had hair. Like I don't know. I have a picture of me with my dad with hair. I love my hair, man. Like I'm like Uncle Jesse on Full House. Like I love my hair. I don't.
Evidently you don't, though. Like you hardly ever show it.
I like wearing hats too, though.
Hair.
I really like hats. Hats are cool. Hats are really cool. I like hats. I've always liked hats.
Why not the fur hat? Like you're from the home place of David Crockett, one David Crockett. Why not embrace that? That could be your, Bill Dance has the tee, Ray Scott has the cowboy hat. You could wear the Davy Crockett hat.
I don't think the Davy Crockett hat matches the varsity jacket. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
The varsity jacket that hides in the LBL studio. I don't think that's going to happen for me, Dave.
Okay.
I don't think that's. Okay. If I show up at NPFL Live with a coonskin cap, I think the Mom's Basement comments are going to get a lot worse. I'm going to be honest.
Yes. And to be honest, the coonskin cap took a different direction in the last 6 months too.
You're going to get canceled.
Speaking of which, happy St. Patrick's Day.
It's here.
It is my people. I mean, you think I'm Canadian, but I was actually, but most viewers don't understand.
You're a Dropkick Murphy.
Yeah, I lived in Ireland until I was 5. And my mom was Catholic. My dad was Protestant, which made me Canadian. So we lived in, and I will tell you the weirdest thing about St. Patrick's Day as an Irish person. In Ireland, it's not near as big a deal. You know what I mean? Like
it's every day there, right? I mean, essentially, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and here's the blow. Nobody in Ireland eats corn. What is the corned beef and
hash? Corned beef and hash.
That's the big American. That was, I guess, an Irish, first all of Boston folks and everything as they started to come over. I think maybe that's where that came from. Because in Ireland, you talk to people about that and they're like, yeah, no, we don't.
Disgusting.
And in dyeing your beer green is freaking sacrilegious.
Green teeth, yeah.
I mean, but hey, happy St. Patrick's Day.
Mahomes Day for Dave. That's all Dave. That's all he's talked about. St. Patrick.
Oh God, I love that, man. I mean, I do.
You really do.
I do. I
you really do, and that's fine. It's fine. We can all have man crushes. We can all have you are one of my man crushes. It's been a pleasure having you at the LBL Bar and Grill, even though it is short lived because you got work to do.
I do. Heading to pick
I'm just going to say this. You got some cool stuff you're going to get to do this week that I, being the music nut that I am very jealous of. I'll just tease it, but on Bassmaster Live, you're doing stuff that I'm uber jealous about.
Yeah, music stuff.
Stuff like it's going to be, it's going to be a really cool week for you for a lot of reasons. This event is going to be one of the best events of the year, in my opinion. Got a little shake up in it, weather-wise and water level-wise, I think. It's going to be, when you and I first talked about this, I guess when the switch happened, so this is the week we're supposed to be. That's right. We're supposed to be at the Classic right now. Meeting folks and shaking hands, kissing babies.
Speaking of which, we got big plans for LD and the MC at the Bassmaster Classic when it eventually happens. So make sure you check that out when it happens.
Make sure you're paying attention.
Yeah.
But we talked then, and I said, dude, I think Century Mark. I think it's going to be an incredible tournament because too many tournaments are on Pickwick in the summertime, and people are just used to, it's ledge, it's this. I'm like, springtime, man. You guys are going to get to see our smallmouth fishery. And you are. Like, you definitely are. Like, it's the timing of it is setting up to be a little different than I originally thought. Thought largemouth would blow it out. Now I'm kind of backtracking on that a little bit. the water was very high. Now it is like 8 feet low, 7 feet low from summer pool. Now we've had a ridiculous amount of rain. It's coming up another 2 or 3 feet. So practice will be just literally a wash. We're recording this on the final day of practice, tornado warnings. Guys aren't really out there. So I don't know. I think it's going to be a very, very cool event, but it's whoever wins is going to earn it. Still going to take a lot of weight. Regardless of all of that, still going to take a lot of weight. Not 100 pounds, but a lot of weight.
What do you think weight-wise? You would throw a number
I think high 80s.
High 80s?
I think high 80s, yeah.
You don't think we'll get 90? I'm going 90s. In the 90s, I think we'll get.
If it will have to be with largemouth, if that's the case. But if it's a mixed deal or a just smallmouth thing, which with this rain, with the current, could be 20 smallmouth, it will be high 80s.
What was the biggest bag of smallmouth you've ever seen weighed in here?
I've seen a 29.
Okay.
Yeah. But I've seen multiple 26 to 28s. Like 29 is the biggest I've ever been in person for. You hear rumors of others, but like as far as officially in a tournament, but dude, I have seen a lot of 26 and 28s every year in March. Like a lot. Chuck Economo weighed 28 in a Bassmaster.
Yeah, no, I remember. I remember him and Menendez destroyed them.
Like it can happen for sure.
I think Economo weighed like 30, didn't he? I thought Chuck Economo weighed. I thought
he had a late penalty.
Okay, yeah.
He had a late penalty because he was coming all the way from the lower end of Pickwick, and it was really rough, and they were in small boats then. And he kept stopping to check on his fish. I remember that from being at the weigh-in, and then like the show later. He might have had 29. Funny story. If you watch that on Lynn Dollar's Awesome Bassmaster channel, my dad volunteered to help. And my dad is like, right this way, Chuck, at the stage. We're in this crappy, like, Kmart rain suit. We're getting poured on. But
Marty.
And Marty's right there. He's got, like, this yellow bass hat on. Chuck goes up, weighs in the fish. Ray Scott with the tassels, whole nine. But yeah, I was in the crowd. I was like, however old. I don't know. Young. 98.
It's crazy because I obviously was not at that weigh-in, but that tournament really affected. That is one of the, everybody has those Bassmaster events that, wow, this one stands out to me. But, I mean, that one is one of the major ones that stood out for me just because, I mean, John smallmouth like that, it was so unheard of. And
Menendez won on Wilson, though, which is and these guys aren't allowed to go to Wilson this week, but he actually locked through to Wilson. And nobody thought that would be possible. Like David Fritz finished third. Like it was a cool event, man. But I remember, like, I've got a Zoom bait company hat in the shop from that event signed by everybody. And about half the names on that in my adult life I got to be friends with. So, like, it's pretty cool. Like, every time I walk in the shop seeing that, like, Kevin, like Kevin was young, like, hey, Mr. Van Dam. But, like, Jimmy Houston was fishing bass then. Roland Martin was still fishing bass with, like, Mark Davis. And, there was a guy, Mike Terry. Do you remember Mike Terry? Yeah. Mike Terry was fishing then, Tennessee River, hammer. Like, his signature's on there. Peter T. Like, all these guys. Like, and Peter and I got to be good buddies in life, fishing FLW and stuff together. But, yeah, so – Pickwick's always special, man, and it's cool to have. It's the first elite ever on Pickwick. Well, that's right. You're right. It's the first elite in the spring, like this early. Not the first elite ever. Somebody actually made a post that this was the first elite. I'll just say that this week. It was somebody in Florida. Davey won that one below the dam, and Kevin Short won. Kevin Short won K-Pink.
Yeah, before
that one. Yep, 2 in a row. It was a high water year when those are in April and May though, both times. So this early, it's gonna be fun, man. But I'm geeking out. I won't. Unfortunately, Dave, I will not be at the weigh-in until the final day.
No.
It's kids' spring break.
Yeah, well,
mi familia. Got to take care of them and go do some fishing elsewhere.
Spring breaks need to happen, and another thing that potentially could be happening that I'm not used to dealing with. It's starting to happen right now, and it's concerning me.
If you hear this,
I was kind of making fun of your snow, and I'm happy to report I am here, and it looks like they made it through the snow okay. But now there's more pending damage and storms that I'm not used to dealing with.
Yeah, I told you yesterday on your drive down that literally the way they predict these things, that today in North Alabama, Southern Tennessee is one of those days that in years past, when they predict this, the stories that unravel from it are something you never forget. And, later today, we're supposed to get some potentially tornadic activity. But seeing you, we're having breakfast this morning, we're talking, and you're like, well, what do you do? Like, if I'm in the car, like, what do you do? And I'm going, yeah, when I called you to ask you what salt you use for your damn driveway, yeah, welcome to my world now. Come down here. And but it's just funny because we all have things. You talk to a guy in Florida and he's like, snow or tornadoes. He's like, hurricane season, man. Everybody has different crap that they deal with in their neck of the woods. But I thought that was funny that you guys really don't have to deal with that. Like, the severe weather outbreak's not something that's in your daily. And with us, it's like 6 months out of the year, you're just like waiting on the tornado siren to go off here. I mean, it's just reality of living here. People have storm shelters in their backyards. People build houses with basements for that reason. I will tell you this, since you're now here and locked in for this podcast, I don't really have anywhere for us to get. So not sure how it's going to shake out for us there, MC, if the siren goes off. But we may be huddled up under a mattress somewhere watching for flying cows.
I honestly don't even know what to do, dude. Like, I mean, and normally, I'll be honest, whenever these things happen, I just call Overstreet. I mean, because, we spend a lot of time on the road together. So, but I did think about that, like if you're just going down the road and this stuff, what do you do? So let's hope I don't have to deal with that. But there is other problems happening, and I'm trying to make a difference. And I think we can make this man's life better. There's an unruly problem happening in fishing, and
it's out of control. Really,
it really is out of control. And some people may have tuned into this hoping to see this, and I wish you were. But John Cox and his unruly hair. I mean, obviously, I have tabled a solution.
You found it. Yes.
Cox-Rose is the perfect example for him. It's the perfect solution. I'm happy to attest that he is agreed.
Yes.
To do said Cox-Rose.
And we want you to hear it here first. I don't care where this happens. This was Dave Mercer's idea.
Why, you think somebody else is going to do it?
Buddy, he's fishing every tournament around the country other than NPFL. Somebody will steal our idea.
Nobody else is going to spend money to give John Cox. Really? Who is as immature as us?
Well.
Come on.
He does have his first BPT next week. I'm just saying. Marty Stone. Maybe he does it.
You like to fight with all these guys.
Fight? You kill me. I can't make a joke. Shout at me, Marty. Give me a shout.
Well, I mean,
we are now basically
here's where we're at with this. We can't find somebody to do them outside of.
I tell you, I spent my entire Monday. This is my Monday.
He failed.
The MC calls and goes, "This has got to happen. This has got to happen." I just got back home from UFall. He's like, "Listen, this has got to happen. It's got to happen."
Has to.
I spent
trying to help John out,
and the only thing I could come up with was getting this done. I did find somebody to do it. I did find people willing to do it. But it was during practice. They could not do it at night. They could not do it in the evening, so we could not find anybody to cornrow John Cox's hair.
But we will.
The
promise
before
has been
this
made.
Week's out, I feel like it'll happen.
Before this week's
Maybe,
out?
yeah.
You're freaking leaving on friggin' March break.
But you're gonna be here.
In between.
You don't have anything going on.
Weighing fish and
I work at tournaments now, Dave. I know how it goes. Nothing happens whatsoever. You're just hanging around waiting on somebody to say your name.
Yeah. Speak to me about working in tournaments. NPFL.
Well, I said it.
Kicked off.
Yeah, it did. It was awesome. It was an awesome experience overall. Frustrating at times. I talked about that on LBL, but my biggest takeaway from it was the immense amount of respect I have for everybody that has pioneered the live coverage, everybody that does that, because you guys were first. And you did a few hours, and then it went to more hours. And I remember talking to Zona like, dude, that's a long time to talk. Like the very first time you guys went to maybe like 5 or 6 hours, I remember having this text conversation with Zona, and he's like, oh, yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. I have got to do it with FLW a couple times, and I wasn't the guy, quote, like running the show, though, right? Like in this role with NPFL, I'm got the producer in my ear, and I'm doing the thing. Dudley's the color commentator. So it's a big gig. Like, it's a big, big gig. So I joke about, like, guys like Marty Stone and the other dude from MLF, and we joke about, I like to give Ronnie Moore a hard time. But, dude, it's an immense amount of work. Like, it's a lot of work. And it is a lot of hours that you have to be, quote, on and focused. Like, my brain would hurt at the end of the day. Like, it had been in a vice, dude. Hey, not all of us are doing backflips and eating bugs. Some of us are varsity.
And sit in a chair in an air-conditioned room and talk about the sport that you love.
Yeah. I'm not complaining.
Would be talking about if they shut the cameras
I'd be watching,
off anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not that hard work. I mean, I am tired.
Dude, it's not like digging ditches.
Is so tough.
It's a complicated process. Is that fair to say?
You're going to have to chop up the tree that's about to get knocked over.
There's different kinds of work. But at the same time, that same guy might not be able to express a point while a producer's screaming at camera guys and him in his ear, right? I mean, that part of it is, dude, I'm so ADD. Everybody that watches this understands that. You definitely do working with me. Dude, it was a challenge. It was a challenge. Yeah. Of course, we had some technical difficulties day one and a little bit on day two. And you text me that, man. You really saved my mental game on day one. You're like, welcome to live, baby. And so in Zona too, like, hey man, like this is just, it's gonna happen, dude. Like we've been doing it for years and small things still happen. Like you just roll with it. It is 6 hours of live. That's the key word. And so I want to thank you for that. But yeah, dude, I thought the event was cool. The anglers are awesome. Like it's fun meeting like-minded people always, right? I know every time you get an influx of new dudes on the elites, you're like, yeah, it's cool. And so getting to meet 110, which are all basically unknowns to me and the fishing world, very, very cool. It was, and some stories coming out of that already, Of course, congrats to John Cox, who just really didn't lap the field. Got a little tougher for him on day 3, but he was dialed. I talked to him the night before the event because we had a camera on him, and I told Dudley, I was like, I think these guys are going to have a really hard time with this dude this week, just because look and there's no we'll see what happened. It was like, no, I'm going to see every fish that I throw at, and I've been catching them from this size to this size, and I think that I can catch 20 pounds tomorrow. And he caught 20 pounds 2 days in a row, and then had to catch 12 on the last day, but had some local pressure and different things. But awesome event, though, dude. I'm ready for Texas. I just hope that it just, that's the goal, is for it continually to get better. A lot of positive feedback from all you humpers out there and low-lifers, and it was cool. And my buddy Dave was very encouraging. He sent me very encouraging messages every morning.
I did. I tried to keep you, I kind of tried to help
you out
where I could, keep you centered. I do have to ask you one thing. What is with new tournaments and making the trophy as big as humanly possible? I mean,
it's a big trophy.
John Cox, you just won. Congratulations. Now let's compress your spinal cord and make you whole.
It's really
the Elite
big.
Series trophies are big, but dude, I'm going to be honest.
It's big.
You guys at MLF have taken trophies to a whole new level. I mean, is
you have to have
it true that your championship is actually, you're going to award a billboard?
And you just get to drive by it and show your friends. Dude, when it was on the podium in between Dudley and I.
It was bigger than Fat Cat, dude. Like, when you were beside it, I was like, well, Duncan's a skinny little. And then you see Fat Cat, and you're like, good God, it is.
And John Cox's a big dude.
Yeah.
John's could play power forward in the NBA. He's a big dude. And the last night we were shooting this wrap-up piece with him, and he's like, hey, Luke, do you care to grab my trophy? And I was like, yes, actually I do. I don't want to throw out my L7 or whatever. It's really, really big. The cool thing about that trophy, I will say, is it is made in a way where that shield comes off and you can hang it on your wall or have it on a podium.
Or put it on a cape. I mean, if you need be, right?
What if you need to Captain America?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
Marvel
also,
it. Yeah.
It's also.
It is very, I've called it the Captain America. Like, it's the Captain America to me. Like, that's why I'm like the Captain America shield. That's what I've called it. Pretty cool, though, dude. I mean, I've seen some of those MLF. Now, what was it? I guess Jordan won. Oh, it's heavy hitters. I think that one was the biggest one I'd ever seen.
Well, of course you do.
No, until the NPFL. Like, it's very. I've not seen Joe's in person. Joe, also a little skinny dude holding that trophy. It looked like he couldn't get his arms around it. The NPFL trophy's big.
It's a big trophy.
As fishermen, this big. It's wide and it's heavy. The base it's on, really heavy. Fat Cat was like, damn. He went to move it one day and he was like, yeah, you got to think about that before you pick it up.
That's wild. But
big trophies.
Big trophy, big accomplishment for them, obviously. It's putting together a tournament in these challenging times is difficult. But it was cool to see them put it together. You know what I mean? It was cool to see. I think that the NPFL has a great opportunity ahead of them. You know what I mean? You see that many anglers excited about it and that sort of thing. So good for them.
That's what I was going to say. The most overwhelming thing was this feeling like you're in not that you're changing fishing, right? Like these guys never said, we're going to change bass fishing. We're going to grow the sport. We're going to do this. It's this feeling of like almost like a fraternity. Like these guys they haven't fished other trails as much. Some of them have fished Toyotas and Opens and still are, right?
Yeah.
But they've never fished that elite series level or the pro circuit level. A couple of our guys have fished FLW, but for the majority of them, they haven't. And for them to be like lights, camera, action, and the NPFL dudes are taking care of them, and they got the drive-through weight. And dude, it's special. Like it's special to them. It's something a lot of them have dreamed about, you know. And I'm sure those dreams don't stop there, right? They want that classic stage. They want a blue trophy as well. Like it doesn't just. And that's the coolest thing about working with a new organization when you're deeply embedded in fishing, like you and I are, is they don't want to be bass. They don't want to beat bass, right? Like they want to pay homage to the predecessors. They want to try to, of course, I mean, it will ultimately come down to people are competing for sponsor dollars. And that's like us having a podcast and everybody was, you know, they were our friends. And then we started another podcast and it's like, maybe
Still
not.
my friends?
No, they're not my friend. Just kidding.
Wow.
Just kidding. But it is, you and I we've talked about that though. Once you become perceived as competition, you know, and right now, you go from a tournament trail, it was just an idea. It was an announcement, a little blurb 2 years ago that I thought was the dumbest thing I'd ever heard. They'll never pull it off. Never pull it. This will never happen. This will never, ever happen. They were asking me to go on Low Budget Live. I'm like, why would I talk to you? You don't have anything. And then the next year they're like, hey, can we come on Low Budget Live? I'm like, no, you don't have anything. I got a tournament trail too. Good job. Like it's just being a total dick to these guys. Then I had them all. And I'm like, whoa. Like talking to them like, oh, okay, cool. You guys are a lot further with this than I thought you would be. Then we go into, hey, what do you think about doing our live coverage? I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I talked to you. I talked to Zona. And they came here for a meeting. And when they left here after 2 days of just like pitching me everything, showing me numbers, showing me their 10-year plan, I was like, these guys are driven, man. Like this could really work. And now to see them pull off their first event with everything we've had, dude, I was like, oh my God, like they did it. Like it was real fun to be a part of it. Like I'm grateful that they asked me to be a part of it. And I know you and I talked, like there were trying times leading up to that. Like, man, I don't know, man. I don't know if they're ready. And you know, ultimately on day one, we had technical issues and we weren't ready. We weren't. I hope that in Texas we'll be 100%. You know, we operated about 98%, is what we said on that final day. And it was fun, and Dudley and I had a great time. And I can't wait, man. I can't wait.
You were at 98%, you think?
Well, now, I won't say as far as glitches, as far as what we had dealt with.
I don't think we've ever run Bass Live at 98%.
Well, dude, I mean, that's just, I don't know how you measure that. It's just a term. Yeah, it's just a term. But I would say, like, from being 15% on day one for the first half of the day and truly struggling to try. I felt like I was driving a bus blindfolded, you know, kind of. It was very frustrating, and a lot of the fans were frustrated, but once they heard what was going on, they're like, oh, totally get it. You guys are great. It was cool, enjoying it. Day two was a by that final day, you know how it is, Dave, like we were joking and we were cutting up and you get more comfortable, and that's what I mean by that. Like it felt, I wasn't having to think about the glitches we were having. I was getting to think about how cool this moment was more and try to showcase John Sokup and Luis Fernandez and freaking Joe DeCerny and these cool guys I just met last week. And it was more about them than it was, oh my God, like we're falling apart at the seams here.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I mean by 98%. We were probably not 90. You guys are never, it's live. You're never going to be.
Always. I mean,
the camera's going to crap out. Somebody's going to say something they shouldn't. You're going to have to dump away. The storyline's not going to go like you envisioned it. I mean, tons of things happen.
Yeah, I mean, you work in a medium that really literally, think about it. Like whether you've done this for a living or not done this for a living, you work in a medium that when you're live, it's not even a fishing thing. I mean, it's a natural thing where people want to screw you up. Like really think about it, dude. Like nobody goes up to the guy digging the ditch and is like, whoo,
Yeah,
nobody goes into the bank teller and is like 38, 42, 76. But you do a live thing and people think it's hilarious to do this. But I mean, that also comes with other cool things too. Like,
like what you're going to get to do this week.
Yeah. I mean, great opportunity. But I also love that. I love that living on a tightrope. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's my entire life.
About
my entire life's winging a prayer.
Yeah.
Winging a prayer. Like, I'm not prepared. You know that I'd drive you nuts. I'm not prepared. So it fits me to just go, hey, Luke, 10, 9, 8, 7. And I'm like, now I do my research on the anglers, but as far as anything else I'm going to say, like my dad was like, oh, it was funny today when you said this. And I was like, I said that? I mean, because at the end of 6 hours, like, I really don't remember that. It just,
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I have to ask you this because, and I have not asked you this privately, so you may think I'm being a jerk. What is your number one biggest live fail? Like outtake? I know the story about like the Lake Havasu thing. You got some feedback from people that were like, oh, this guy's out here acting a fool, that kind of stuff. But have you like an embarrassing, either on the stage or live? Like, what's something
Probably
that like stuck with you?
Most embarrassing moment, and actually it was equally embarrassing for the angler as it was for me because they didn't even understand what was going on. And it was with Davey Height. Actually, funny enough, my buddy who I worked with at every single event. So the classic. You remember the classic I have an IFB, right?
Yeah.
So it's just people talking to me in my ear, and they tell you, hey, we're going to go to a commercial break here. We're going to do this and that. And we've really worked hard to speed up the whole classic deal. So there's not near as many commercial breaks. But this was back when we had a bunch of them. So I'm told, hey, you've got a 10-minute commercial break, right? This is a long break. So I'm like, okay, perfect. So, I mean, you're up on the stage, right? You need to pee, whatever, right? So we run off the stage and generally, we just have a few seconds, and I run to one bathroom and Tripp runs to another. But I run into Kevin in the hall, and I'm talking to Kevin, and we got a 10-minute break, right? And
seems like an eternity.
Tripp's like, Dave, you want to go in here? And I'm like, no, we got time. I'll hit the head before we head back on stage. So I'm talking to Kevin, and Kevin's like, don't you need to be back there? And I'm like, no, dude. I mean, we got a 10-minute break. I'm a professional. I know what's happening.
You do you. I'll do me,
Exactly.
Kev. Stay in your lane, Kev.
How about you try being KVD?
Get your 1.5s out.
Well, then in my ear, so I've got my IFB knocked out of my ear because you don't want to hear all the stuff and everything. Yeah. But in my ear, I hear the booming Don Day voice going, our next angler. And I'm like,
that's a really good Don Day.
What?
That's a really good Don Day. Holy crap. You're a dual threat QB, bro.
Well, Don Day.
Do that again. Let's hear it. Introduce me because I'm never going to get introduced to the classic.
No, you have to save that for that moment. But
okay.
So I start I'm like, what? And Don Day doesn't know. He's no idea, right? He just assumes and I'm also like that dick who shows up late for everything. You know what I mean? My line is always like, any earlier would have been a waste of time. So Don Day, so another dude, Don Day might have noticed, hey, he's not on the stage, but he's, again, don't worry, Mercer's going to trot out here at the last second. I'm in the bathroom. I'd left Kevin, so I go in the bathroom, and I'm in the bathroom literally peeing when I hear this in my. So I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. So I'm like running down the hall, and I go running through the freaking bowels of this arena towards the stage, and I'm coming up on the stage, and I'm tucking my shirt in, like I'm just so. It's already times past and people are like, what's going on? Davey's already parked in front of the stage. And dude, he sees me doing my zipper up. Well, now Davey thinks I'm trying to tell him, like when you tell somebody like I got something on my nose. He thinks I'm trying to tell him. So now Davey's in his boat, like making sure he's tucked. Well, Davey's always friggin' tucked in, pressed in, perfect.
Ready to go.
So, so that was kind of the most. And this day, it was funny because after the classics done and everything, and I came up to Davey and I'm like, hey man, I'm sorry about what happened there. And he's like, what happened? I didn't even notice my shirt wasn't untucked or anything. Like he still did not realize what had happened. But that'd be that. And then the other weirdest moment was We had a real bad traffic jam once at one of the Birmingham Classics, and it was the Friday weigh-in, which is always the problem. And, dude, they had me out on stage, and it had gone on for like 30 minutes of just...
Nobody.
Like, you're by yourself on a stage in an arena full of people, and they're just like... They take great pride in going to the side of the stage, looking at you straight down and going, stretch.
Man.
And there's part of me that's like, hey, I got this. But after 30 minutes, you're just like, this is ridiculous. So I just start, I'm like, well, let's get Mark Zona out here, or whatever. You know what I mean? So then Zona comes off the side of the stage. He's got a freaking hook. Like, Zona's the most entertaining person on earth. Like, he really is.
When he's on. Yeah.
But he really is. Like, in front of a camera, that dude could talk to 100 million people. There wouldn't be a bead of sweat, no flap. But you put him in front of a crowd of 100 people, and he's like, so he's walking out the classic stage. This is like a nightmare for Zona. He's got his hood up, his hands in his pockets, and I'm like, where's my help? What is happening here? Like, there's nobody saving me. So those were the two moments that I think were probably, but there's a lot, dude. Like, that's the whole, that's live events, right?
That's it. Yeah, that's the allure of it.
Screw ups.
Yeah.
But that's also what makes it cool when it works. So yeah, I guess that'd be about.
Well, I would say if technical difficulties day one are the worst thing that ever happened to me, then I'll be okay. Because I know there will be other moments. For me, though, the one that really got to me the most, so I had a producer, Mr. Lonnie, in the room with me, and I had a guy also in my ear, Zach Visser, up in Wisconsin. We did not do a run through the day before.
Why?
They had technical difficulty. They had stuff, and they're like, hey, we got it. Okay. And we had off and on all day tried to do this. Dudley and I really didn't know run a show or anything until 7:30 a.m. We were going live at 8, right? So, but they asked me, hey, write something for like an intro. And, I do the podcast enough that I'm like, hey, da-da-da, like that. I'm not worried about that, right? But at the same time, like when you start seeing that 10, 9, you get, heart starts fluttering a little bit. You're like, okay, here we go. This is go time. Well, in the room, Lonnie's like, hey, I'll count you down. Like, yeah, give me one of these. And the producer had said that was going to be the case. Well, as Lonnie goes like this, and I'm like, hey, friends and neighbors, the producer goes, 3, 2, 1 in my ear in Wisconsin. So I stopped and then started again. And, dude, that made me madder than anything else that happened. Just at myself, but it's communicate. Everything's in the communication, right? And everything in life. But that one will always be like, damn it, man, because
that's what you get paid for.
That's right. But the other
override their bullshit.
That's right. But the next 2 days, I nailed it. It was exactly like I wanted it to come out or whatever. But like that morning, I was like, ugh. I was so mad at myself that I missed that. But some people probably didn't even notice. They probably just thought it was a glitch in the Wi-Fi or something. Yeah. But I was very upset with myself. I was probably very as red as the Kool-Aid man in that moment. All right, give me a pick for Pickwick Lake. I'm gonna switch gears with you.
What the hell?
Yeah, I want to pick. I want to pick.
This is just...
It's a fishing podcast now.
I'm gonna go.
Jim Cantori on the Weather Channel.
No, I mean I'm just trying to think. I mean the obvious is the Justin Atkins and stuff like that. I'm gonna go with an unobvious. Oh, 2 guys. I'm gonna throw out, and this. I have not talked to either of them. This is 100% just gut.
Yeah, I haven't talked to anybody.
I'm going Seth Feider and Corey Johnston.
Okay.
Just because I think they'll do. But I think this is one of those tournaments that honestly you could.
Yeah.
I mean, literally go through. I mean, there's so many favorites. You know what I mean? Hackney's obviously, Buddy Groves. Yeah. It goes on and on. But if I had to pick 2, those are my 2, which means they probably won't do good at all. But I'm sorry.
Brian Schmidt, Buddy Gross. Obvious,
Grass.
If the grass, if the grass plays, those guys are going to be trouble. Atkins, obviously, every weather condition suits him, right? Like he has as much time on that lake in the last 10 years as anybody I know. So it does favor him this week. But
more so than it would have in the original day.
Yes.
Like how much is that?
Yes, because when those fish get where they get, then all of those guys are so good and electronics are so good, they find almost everything that Justin would have known. There's not a lot of secrets on Pickwick, dude. Like that time of year offshore, there's not that many spots anymore. There's just not. So and Justin feels that way. Like he feels like he has more of an advantage now than he would have then, for sure. Been a lot of pressure on the ledges in that one in June here. It would have been you would have needed a damn traffic cop on a lot of places. Now he has some sneaky stuff, but I think this week benefits the local knowledge because of the up and down water. It's because he's seen so many different scenarios play out here.
Do the FLW guys, do you feel that they maybe have a little bit of an advantage here? I'm just thinking Canterbury, Erie, guys like that fished FLW for years. You guys came here a lot.
Never this time of year, though.
No, okay.
Never this time of year. But I mean, I'm assuming that guys like Kyle Welcher have experience here in the spring. Canterbury, a lot of your Alabama guys, regional tournaments come through here, right? So the BFLs or federations or whatever. Matt Herron is a guy with a lot of experience on Pickwick, a lot of experience. So it's going to be interesting, to say the least. I still think Polinick, which he's always a threat, but I just have a weird feeling about him this week.
Yeah, he's about to.
Yeah. Got a weird feeling about him.
On my, like when I was going back, but I get in trouble for picking him all the time.
Yeah. Well, just knowing how these fish set up and how he likes to fish, especially the smallmouth stuff. I think he's going to be trouble.
On both ends, too.
On both ends.
Yeah,
on both
mixed
ends.
bag,
so,
for sure, yeah.
Really, we didn't pick anybody, Dave. We just talked about a lot of other people.
Well, that's the
that's LD and the MC right there. That's what we did.
The magic of a good podcast. And speaking of podcasts, we didn't talk about this beforehand, but I know Matt Panger put out a video, and we should, because one of the best podcasts out there, and really the forefather in this kind of deal, really, Mark Jeffries, had an accident, and we get reminded once again of how fragile life is. And everybody knows big basketball coach. They won the game, came into the change room and slipped and fell. The good news is from ICU and very nervous few days that we're hearing, he's got a lot of work ahead of him, but a full recovery should
definitely a different outcome than what was feared in the beginning, for sure. I talked to Matt. I know you have too, and it was some tense moments there, man. And like you said, it's just a reminder. It's another reminder. Like this deal is, you're leasing it, right? Like we don't own it, and you never know what's going to happen. It's such a freak thing. I mean, to be airlifted from the basketball game that he has longed for, to make it to the state championship, and that was the game to qualify for it. But just for that to happen, man, it's just almost like, you want to say not fair, right? You know what I mean? Like, it's just a reminder, though, that it's fragile. It's fragile, man. It's short, and so we want to say we're thinking about those guys. I reached out to Matt and told him that, hey, if you need anything, let me know. Let me know, for sure.
Thoughts and prayers to him and his entire family and everybody, if you can keep them in your thoughts. And here's something that I want to throw out there. We work hard on this crappy little show.
We do.
And you know what? I mean, I'm not going to...
And have fun with it.
We do.
And have a lot of fun.
Yeah. We want to get this show bigger, though. Like, I mean, it grows every week, and thank you. I mean, there's more people listening to this.
Humpers.
Than we... Dude, let me tell you, this couple that I met in Palatka, I've been meaning to tell this story. I mean, it was one of the coolest. Every time I meet you guys, it's so awesome. I mean, you experienced some of it at the event this weekend, and the amount of people that come up and say, hey, man, I'm a humper, and, you get talking about different topics and things like that. So this elderly couple older couple.
And you just shot yourself in the foot.
Well, this old bastard and his wife, okay? Let's just put it that way, okay? Because he was a grumpy curmudgeon. But anyways, and his wife, beautiful. I don't know how he ended up with her. But,
dear God.
But, wow, see, that's how I get out of insulting somebody. But they come up to me and we're talking, and we had, we talked for 10, 15 minutes, had a nice chat. And I'm like, well, I got to go up the dock here and grab the microphone and do my job. So I go to walk away, and I said, I said, thanks for being, overly loud as always, like an idiot I am. I'm like, thanks for being a humper. And the guy goes, I'm a proud humper. And then as I walk up, the dock a few more steps, and there was this like group of people together. I didn't know them. I think they were from like the local church because they were there to do the invocation. But I'm walking past them, and then I hear the old couple like scream, "We're not just humpers, we're proud low-life humpers." and the couple, they looked at me, and I'm like, so thank you all for being low-life humpers, and thank you for all your love. But here's what we need. We need likes. Likes matter. I've done some research.
They do matter.
Way too many people watch these videos and don't take the split second to press the little thumbs up. Do that. Share this around. Let's blow this up.
Comment.
Because, I mean, I might not get out of my house in the future, and I need this.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. NPFL could fire me tomorrow, and Bass
Probably will.
could definitely get rid of you just because of this podcast. You think?
Whoa. I'll never
They may have
say
reached out.
anything
They may have reached out. That's all I'm saying.
Are you saying you're taking my job?
I'm just saying, just be careful.
So I get to go on spring break this week.
Just saying, be careful.
All right, let's just finish
I'm
this
just
one
saying, be careful. That's all I'm saying. Just
Dude,
do a good job this
Three
week. bro.
freaking events of live.
3 days. 3 days.
This is really, imagine him after a season. Could you
It's
imagine
gonna be.
him?
It's gonna be.
Imagine when
It's gonna
he
be
doesn't
really
talk
interesting
over
for
the
everybody.
anglers.
This has been LD.
No, we're not ending. We are not ending right now because this is an opportunity to do something that we know.
Camera. I got it.
This is an opportunity to do something we normally cannot do. Let's end this with paper, rock, scissors.
Really?
You scared?
I'm not
Best
scared.
out of 3.
What happens?
We go 1, 2, and on the third one you
Shoot.
drop. Okay.
Okay.
All right. We ready? Get in there. Get in there.
Get in
Best
there.
out of
Here
3.
we go.
Best out of 3.
All right.
1, 2, 3.
Ah.
Oh, it's a tie. 1, 2, 3.
Gotcha.
Oh, you got me? One
Yeah.
up. 1, 2, 3. Ah!
It's a tie.
It's a tie.
It's a deadly tie.
Hold on.
St. Patty's Day.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Happy
Give
St.
us a
Patrick's
like
Day.
and watch him go down in a flame of glory. 1, 2, 3. Yes! Undefeated, undisputed. This has been LD and the MC.
And the MC. Dave is not a real American.